Hello everyone, this is Arcane31174, and since I am back, I am going to show you something else cool. And it is not this, but I'll show it to you anyway. This is the Iron Titan. This is a design by Tango Tech which allows you to collect, I kid you not, 2,600 iron an hour. About. This is the 64 village version, you can go 32, 64, more than that, whatever. So, it works, and I was extremely impressed with its iron output. I'm not going to show you how to make this, because Tango Tech has a very good tutorial on it, and if you want to learn how to make it, watch it, because he deserves the views. Now, I had also built this from another Tango Tech tutorial. This is a storage depot, which stores a lot of stuff. Each one of these represents a double chest. Now, I came across an interesting conundrum. I had built the storage depot over here, and the Iron Titan stuff comes out here. Well, it's not that far, but it could have been a lot worse. The point is, how would I get the stuff from over there all the way over here? Well, the obvious solution is to snake the hoppers all the way over here, but I don't want to do that. And I really don't want to carry the stuff all the way over, because 2,600 iron per hour, in survival I'd have better things to do, thank you very much. Like digging a hole. A really big hole in the ground. Yeah, that's pretty much what I do in survival mode. I'm the designated miner all the time. So I decided, you know what, screw logic, I'm going to waste my time at, well, not waste my time, but spend significant amounts of time and create a fully automated cargo minecart loading depot and unloading depot. Believe it or not, there aren't too many tutorials on how to make one of these that actually works 100% of the time. And that's what this is going to be, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to show you how to make one of these. Several gray hairs later, I had finally come up with a finished model. Now, this is not the version that I'm going to be showing you. I'm going to be showing you a later version. This one works. It's amazing, but the problem is it requires a high volume of items in order to reset. Once the card is sent away, the track only powers down when the system receives 23 more items. For slower farms, that's not good. So, I'm going to go to another world of mine, and I'm going to show you how to build one of these. But first, a brief overview on the operations of hoppers and comparators, since both will be necessary for this device. First things first, a hopper, I might also call them funnels, and I apologize for that, is a device that, when placed, can pull items from a storage medium above it, like a chest, and deposit them in a storage medium in the direction that its spout is pointing. You can have a hopper with a spout pointing down, or any other direction that is not up, because that wouldn't make any damn sense. You can hold shift to place something when it would normally bring up the UI, but you already know that, I'm sure. Hoppers can also grab loose items in the world and hold them in their internal storage. If there's a storage medium connected to it, it'll deposit it into that storage medium as it normally would. Hoppers pull items out of things above them and deposit them into whatever the spout is pointing into. It could be a box or another hopper. So if I were to put the redstone in that chest, it would end up in this one. You can stop a hopper from operating by applying a redstone current like so. If I were to put something in this box, it would end up in the bottom chest, despite the fact that this hopper is not pointed to that one. The reason being is because while this hopper is not pushing an item into this one is pulling the item out of this one. However, if I apply the current, that operation will cease and the item will remain in this hopper. If this hopper were pointed down, then this would not do anything. It would stop here, since this hopper would receive the item from this one, because this one pushes it, but would not push it into the chest. Hoppers also output item content signals with comparators, just like chests do, except at greater power. For example, a chest with a full stack doesn't output as much as a hopper with 23. That's probably because the item content to storage medium size ratio is higher. Now, on to comparators. You can tell here that the comparators output signals based on the content of a storage medium directly behind them. That's cool. And the signal strength depends on how many items there are. That's also cool. Comparators also have two modes. This is capacitor mode, and that's subtract mode. You can switch between them by right-clicking them. Capacitor mode will, if it receives a signal in the back, output another signal of the same strength out the front. However, if it receives a signal of greater strength through the side, it will now not output anything. If it receives a weaker signal, it'll still output the rearward. Subtract mode is similar. When not receiving power on the sides, it functions identically to capacitor mode. However, if it receives a weaker signal, it'll output a signal that is the stronger signal minus the weaker one. Two dust here, 3 dust here, you're going to get one power level, which is not enough to run that. If you put a greater source in, it doesn't output anything, because a small number minus a big number is, in the mathematical world, a negative number. In the world of everything else, 0. This concludes our brief lesson. Now, on to building. Welcome to yet another Flat World testing ground, where we get to build stuff without worrying about terraforming. I apologize if you hear some kind of a weird noise in the background, but it is raining really friggin' heavily where I am, so you might hear that. Don't worry about it. Absolutely nothing bad is going to happen. Trust me. So, before we begin, let's grab some materials. We're going to use stone as our basic material, because I like stone and it looks nice. For redstone components, we're obviously going to need redstone, repeaters, comparators, hoppers, a block of redstone, you're only going to need one for this, redstone torch, and regular pistons. You'll need 2 of those. But if you're building one of these, chances are you're probably pretty well off in your survival world, so you should have the materials to make them. Please note, they do not have to be / cannot be sticky pistons. And I mean that. So, we're also, going to need a powered rail and some regular rails. I'll get the piston back. So, first, what we're going to do is where we want the minecart to load, we're going to place a powered rail, and we're going to have some regular rails going off. Honestly, you only need one normal rail to signify the direction the track's going to go, but why not make a whole bunch? Seriously, makes it much cooler. Now, behind this powered rail, you're going to put a block. This means that when this track is powered, the minecart is going to move that way, instead of possibly that way off the track. This is also hopper on top of it like that. This spout must be pointed down. This is a basic, not automated depot. Once this minecart is loaded, a player will have to activate the track power and then deactivate it once the cart is gone. Kind of defeats the purpose because you have to have some poor sucker standing here. But we can fix that. So, we're going to put a block on either side of this track. This does not affect the track's functions at all. And on either side of this, we're going to put comparators pointed outward. These comparators will activate when an item is placed inside this hopper, and deactivate when it's removed. Now we need 2 because we're using them for different things. In front of this one, you're going to put a stone block in front of it. This one's not necessary, but you can put it there if you want. Also, another thing we can note is that, hold on a minute, time, set, 0. Sorry about that. This can be built entirely above ground. Does not require any digging below this point. We're going to put a torch here. This makes it so that when there's an item in here, this torch goes off. This item detects whether the system is empty or not. And then, I'm going to need that piston back. We are going to put a piston not here, but 1 block in front of it. This block does not have to be here, but if it helps with the measurements, you can leave it there. That's fine. Also, we'll put a block of redstone here and another piston. This is going to be our toggle mechanism, but we can't really see what it's useful for now. You will in a minute. Behind this block, we're going to put a repeater and a comparator. This is our track activation mechanism. When activated, the track will turn on, and when deactivated, the track will turn off. Next to this repeater, we're going to put a little piece of redstone there. You might be able to see what this is going to be used for now, but in case you can't yet, you certainly will later. And before we go on, we're going to want to make this hopper system, we're going to want to finish up with this. You're going to want 2 hoppers on top of this one, both of which need to be pointed in some direction that is not back or down. This one can't be pointed back because we need one behind it pointed into it. If you have this pointed into that one, stuff doesn't go anywhere. These blocks aren't necessary, but they help with placement. It should look like this. Down, side, side, and into that one. That is important. From here, you can go on this side, you can go on this side, and you can go from the top. You cannot do this. Do not continue the train from behind. Actually, you sort of can, but you have to do it properly, and I'm sure somebody can figure it out, but that's not the purpose of this video. This is the redstone logistics of how this thing works. Now, if this activates something when there's any item in here, this one, we need it to activate something when there are a certain number of items. For instance, 23. Notice how with 23 items, there's a 2-bar signal, and if we remove anything, it's a 1-bar signal. This is going to be our fill detector, because if this hopper fills up like that, that means the cart is full and needs to be sent out. With this signal, we need to put a repeater here, so that the signal will be of full strength and can actually reach this. This block here is fairly important because, as you can see, it doesn't reach that. So you're going to need to put a block here, put that there, and then just bring it around. Now when this is full, one block will cause this reset piston to retract. And then, once we put items in, 23 items, the track will activate and the cart will leave. But the problem is the track will still be active when the cart comes back. Fortunately, we can fix that. We can take 2 repeaters, put them here, and then put a piece of dust there. This forces the block into this position and deactivates the track. But we still want the cart to have time to leave, so these repeaters should be set to max delay. Once the cart comes back, removing items from here will first cause this piston to retract, and then once it's empty, the block will be moved away and the system is fully reset. Now, at first you might consider this done, but not quite. See, if this is a high flow device, then you might get to a point where this hopper is way too full to ever actually properly empty. And if it doesn't completely empty, the cart will never be sent off. So we need something that will halt the flow of items before they get here, once the system is full. To do that, we're going to need to stop this hopper. That block doesn't need to be there, but you can leave it there if you want. Now, first what we're going to need to do is, when this block is in the we want this to be here. Sorry, I kind of stalled a little bit. See, the point is we need this to be powered on when this block is over here. When this block is here, it means the cart is full, stop the flow. The reason why this piece should be lit when the system is empty, because this is a not switch. Because this torch is off. Remember, if this is lit when the system is empty, you're in the wrong place. It's not, the torch does not go here. It goes there. And that's the loading depot. Fairly simple, actually, isn't it? And now I'm going to show you the unloader. One of my greatest fears when making these videos is doing something really stupid and then having to do all this work over again because I didn't do enough scene cuts. But yeah, I'm sure you guys can forgive a few blunders of the tongue. Anyway, moving on, I'm going to make the unloading depot now. It's actually much simpler than the loading depot for reasons I'm not actually sure why. It's one of those things where for some reason it works. I don't have a damn clue why, but it does every time I do it, so it's generally accepted. So for this, you're not going to need pistons, you're not going to need blocks of redstone, and you're not going to need repeaters, but you're still going to need dust, comparator, hopper, torch, and you're also going to need a chest. And a powered rail. So first, you put the chest here, hopper going down into it, and a powered rail on top of that. Naturally, there's going to be a block in front of here. That's the start of the... This is a manual unloading depot, because a player would have to activate this to send it back. But it's much easier to automate than the loading depot. Pretty much all you do is you put a comparator here to see how much stuff is in the hopper. In front of that, you put a block with a torch on it. There's redstone up here, and then a block there. The track is on. If anything ends up in this hopper, this track goes off. Now, you might be saying to me, this track is on. If that cart comes up here, it's just going to go right back down. Believe it or not, no it doesn't. For some reason, if a cart that has stuff in it goes up that track and stops here, if there are items in it, the hopper will take an item out of the cart, and this whole system will deactivate before the cart goes back. And then once it's empty, it'll go back to the loading depot. Looks finicky as hell, but it works. But the chest needs to be here. Now this does not have to be your storage chest. You can have another hopper underneath it. And that's fine. You can have hoppers going all the way down to the center of the earth. That's fine. You can have it leading into this chest here, which I guess represents the sum total of your super epic God Almighty storage system, which is fine. But this one has to be here, and this one has to be pointed down. These don't even have to be pointed down. They could be like that. Except for this one, which does have to be pointed down. And you can do this. So you can put filters between the buffer chest here and your storage system, and it'll still work. If I put an item in here, it'll still end up down there. So that's the system, and now I'm going to show you how it works. Well, not how it works, but I'm actually gonna run it. Alright, here we go. Hold on a minute. I have a minecart, which I filled up on my own. This is going to represent what happens when the minecart finally fills, and then we're going to put a stack of items in here, and we're going to see what happens. Reset piston retracts because there's something in here. As this fills up, once it gets to 23, the cart's going to be sent away, and the flow is stopped. The cart goes up here, deactivates, and now it's being emptied. Now I'm not going to make you wait through the whole emptying. I'm going to clip ahead a little bit. But the item flow has stopped here, and there are only 26 items in this hopper. 26 because of the delay. And this is now slowly emptying. And now the minecart is almost empty with some assistance from myself. Now that it's completely empty, it gets sent on back to the loading station. Piston retracts. Then once this hopper is empty, the system will reset, the buffer will stop, and the items will begin flowing again. And the cart's filling up. And that is how you build the automated loading and unloading depot. I hope this video has been helpful and informative, and I hope you find hopefully some use for something like this, although it's kind of can't imagine really what it would be used for, because if you have an Iron Titan in survival mode, you're probably pretty close to spawn, and if you're in Tech-It, you have a mining laser, so you don't even need it, despite the chunk loaders making everything easier. But the point is, yay, it works! Awesome! Right? So, yeah, there it is. That's all I got for now. Arcane out.